What if Mother Earth could actually speak to us? What would she say? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful message that imagines just that. It's a plea for balance, all from our planet's perspective, as envisioned by the Indian painter and thinker Pinkesh Kumar Deeman.
So, this message starts with the absolute basics of how we communicate. A line connects two dots. Lines make letters. Letters become words. And those words, they're what carry every single emotion we feel. It's a really beautiful and simple way to think about where language even comes from.
And this, of course, leads us to a huge question. If our words are born from our feelings, what happens when our actions prove we've completely forgotten the meaning of a word that should be at the very core of our existence? And that forgotten word is mother. It's a word that comes from the deepest possible feelings of love and life. But the argument here is that we've forgotten the ultimate mother, Mother Earth, the source of all life, the planet that literally gives us the air we breathe. Somehow, somewhere along the way, we've just cut that sacred connection. So how did we lose that connection? Well, the idea is that it all comes down to this great imbalance, this huge gap that's opened up between two of our most powerful forces, science and spirituality. They're not walking together anymore. They're headed in completely opposite directions. And this is such a fascinating way to frame the problem. See, science itself isn't the bad guy here, not at all. But when you strip it of devotion, of any kind of reverence for life, it can become a tool for destruction. On the flip side, when it's guided by a higher purpose, it becomes a true blessing. It's this very imbalance that, according to Dimon, is the root of so much conflict and injustice in our world. To really get what he means by the spiritual side, we can look at these two concepts. You've got Dharma, which represents all the principles that uphold life, things like love, justice, compassion. And then you have its opposite, Adharma, which is fueled by greed, lust, and hatred. When a society loses its grip on Dharma, our systems, like our laws and our politics, they just become hollow. They become tools for power instead of for good. On this spiritual imbalance, it's not just some abstract idea. It has devastating, real-world consequences. The signs that we've lost our way are, frankly, all around us every single day.
We see these painful symptoms in the injustice that children face, in the horrible atrocities against women. We see it as the most powerful nations seem to be constantly preparing for war. But what's so important to grasp here is that these aren't just seen as isolated problems or political mistakes. They're evidence of a much deeper, collective failure of our soul.
Now, on top of this spiritual crisis, there's this immense physical pressure that's building. And the numbers, well, they tell a pretty stark story. In just over a century, between 1959 and a projection for 2065, our population is on a path to explode from under 3 billion to 16 billion. That is an almost unimaginable strain on our planet.
Let's just pause on that number for a second. 16 billion people. That's where we're headed by 2065 if things don't change. That's more than double the number of people on Earth right now.
And this leads us to the ultimate question. It's not just about logistics, like food and water. It's something much, much deeper. Can Mother Earth actually bear the weight of so many souls? Especially when so many of those souls have forgotten they're even connected to her. Okay, so the crisis is clear. But this message doesn't just leave us in despair. It pivots. It starts to offer a new direction, a path to healing this massive divide, and finally finding the balance that we've lost. And this is just a brilliant illustration of that vision for change. It's all about re-injecting our core systems with those values of Dharma we talked about. I mean, just imagine a world where politics is driven by what makes love tick, where law is fundamentally about compassion, and where our search for knowledge is pursued with real devotion. That's the formula to bring science, spirit, and humanity back together. And what this makes crystal clear is that the path forward isn't about scrambling for more wealth or more power, the very things that threw us off balance in the first place. The only way to find real, sustainable peace is to build it on a totally different foundation, one of love and harmony with our world. Now, I know what you might be thinking. These are huge, philosophical ideas. So what can any one of us actually do? Well, the message ends by bringing it all down to a remarkably simple and personal level. It lays out a plan that doesn't wait for governments to act, but starts right in our own homes.
The proposed mantra for every family is this simple. It's about responsible growth, and it's about actively giving back to the earth. The ideal is 1 family, 2 children, and 10 trees planted. It's a small personal commitment that, if enough of us did it, could create an absolutely monumental change.
And this leaves us with a really powerful final thought. The seed we plant today, both literally in the ground and figuratively in the next generation, is what will create the world of tomorrow. It's a profound challenge, really. It places the fate of our planet not in the hands of some powerful few, but in the conscious choices that each and every one of us makes. The only question left is, are we ready to accept that responsibility?